I am Dr. Swannie Jett, and I have a passion for public health for over 30 years. Now, I'm in a position to affect change. And these are the critical conversations about health in our community with the people who can help me make those changes. Good morning. Welcome to CEO Live Talks. Today I have a good friend with me, Miss Ray Martin. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the set.
Yes, thank you for having me.
No
Excited
problem.
to be here.
So how you been doing?
I've been okay. I've been well. I was just sitting reflecting and just thinking, can count my blessings, right? I'm doing good. The work, right, is a challenging time for the work, right? But it's always good because it allows us to put into perspective, right, our own personal privileges and personal blessings when we are working, right, in community that has experienced a lot of hardship. But me personally, I am in a good place.
So I'm curious because I've known you for over a year and a half, 2 years, but I don't know where you were born.
Yeah, I was born and raised here in Louisville, Kentucky. So Louisville made me, right? I was originally, I really grew up in Newburgh area, and I moved and jumped off the porch, right, in the West End. So those are the two communities that I really feel the most a part of, Newburgh and the West End. And I now live in Newburgh again, but Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, so when people say, what high school?
Yeah.
What do you say?
You got to ask. Manual. I went to DuPont Manual, the elite, right? School that we are very proud of my experience there and the lessons that I learned.
So I know you've talked about you grew up in a good environment with parents and everything. So walk me through that.
Yeah. So I have been incredibly blessed, right, my whole life, and have been loved my whole life in a really healthy way. And as I get older and I find myself reflecting on my childhood, I realize just how blessed I was and how much I have to be grateful for. Growing up, I was really raised by my mother, right? My parents, my father's always been in my life, still very much a part of my life, but they separated early in my childhood. So I was my mother, right, she raised me along with a community of other people, right? My village was strong, right? My village has always been big. So my mother, she was in the military, right? I also had the benefit of seeing the military, right, through her eyes and through her experience, but also being embraced, right?
To do it.
I did decide, right, that it wasn't the path for me, it wasn't the way, but it's certainly given me a lot of respect, right, for our service people like yourself. Thank you for your service and the sacrifices, right, that we see service people make. I had a big village. I've had a lot of, if I have to describe my tribe, right? My tribe is really full of a lot of women with big personalities, right? More than the matriarch of my family, Dolores. She is certainly a personality, but they've just instilled a lot of really important lessons in me. And a part of that, right, is keep God first, but also remembering that with the privileges that we have the responsibility to give back. And that's really how I would just describe the core, right, of my childhood, right? Service was always a big deal, was always a priority. So
was your mother strict?
I think you know the answer to that question.
Because I know people be in the military, but some people, they just lie to days because they're not very strict.
Oh no, my mother was strict in a healthy way. You know, she believed in healthy boundaries, but also let me explore and kind of figure out things for myself. One of the things, again, in reflection that I'm most grateful for about my mom is we're not rich by any means.
Now you the only sibling?
I'm my mother's only child.
So
my dad has people say that, but I don't agree with that, and my mom wouldn't agree with you either. My dad has 2 other children from different marriages, so I have a brother who's about 16 years older than me, and then one who's about 17 years younger than me. So we all grew up, in different households with different experiences, different generations, but I was raised as an only child. I was raised as an only child. My mother, again, I would say she was firm, right, on some things, but also allow me to explore the world. It really let me try out a lot of hobbies, a lot of interests very early on in my life and throughout my life. So, when I think about kind of the the diversity of the experiences that I had. I know it was because my mother made a way, and I know that I never had to see her struggle, right? Even though I know that she had
And she
times.
probably has structure, because that's the main. I would say if the military does anything, it provides you with structure.
Yes.
Right? You
Yes.
know how to get up, go to work.
Yes.
You know how to be on time for things.
That's right.
You know, so it's very regimental in that sense.
Yeah, she definitely gave me that structure. She still gets up at ungodly hours and calls my phone right now. And I'm trying to implement some of that structure in reverse. Like, do not call me right before 7:30, 8 a.m. on a weekday. Yes,
right.
that works for you, but not for me.
Yeah,
But yeah.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I wish
It's
I
not
tried
working.
that,
No, it's not working
but
at all.
my mom sends me a text, so so I don't get the phone call.
Yeah,
It's a
good.
text.
You guys have worked that out over the course of your life, I'm
Worked
sure.
that out. But she learned how to text.
Yeah.
It took her a while to learn how to text.
I got you.
Now she know how to text. Like,
Yeah.
shut the text off.
Yeah, no, she does okay with text messages, and I know that she's just waiting around with her phone to give me that good morning call. But I'm grateful, right, to get them.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cherish that. Tell me about your dad.
Yeah, my dad, he is a hardworking man. He has always, he's always had multiple jobs, right? Multiple hustles. And as an adult, it's been fun to, hear his friends or hear people in his community, right, talk about how they knew him, right? He really made a reputation for himself as a prize bartender at the Elks Lounge. If I tell you his name, you and everybody be like, oh yeah, we know him. He made the best drinks, right, in Louisville, is what I was told. But while he was doing that work, he's also he's a salesman by nature, right? He can sell you anything, right? And is very good at it. But he is a charming personality that has really served him well in all of his professional pursuits. These days, he is working at GE, and then he also has a store, right, a Peddler's Mall store, which is good because he has a thing for fine things, right? He really enjoys antiques. So he's at an estate sale every spare moment that he gets, it seems. And well, I'm going to connect you to, I'm going to send you the link to his page, because he'll go and find these treasures and he puts them in his store. And so that is, how he fills his time, and with family, and with his youngest son, my brother, Caleb as well. He's still at home and at Simmons. And so he is a part of his support system.
Hello, my name is Sierra Clark, and I'm the Chronic Disease Manager at Park DuValle Community Health Center. Ever since I started at Park DuValle over 9 years ago, I have been committed to helping patients live healthier lifestyles. I am currently serving patients in the Chronic Care Management Program, or CCM program. My team and I help patients manage their chronic conditions such as obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. In this CCM program, you will receive several benefits to help you manage your health. We offer monthly telephone calls to check in with your progress and to assist you with any concerns, assistance with scheduling your healthcare appointments, and assistance with filling your prescriptions in a timely and convenient manner. We also offer many resources to help you with the barriers you may face with eating healthy, being physically active, or monitoring your conditions at home. For more information, visit us online at pdchc.org or visit one of our health centers.
Hello, I'm Dr. Swannie Jett. Please make sure you visit one of our 5 locations, not only in Louisville, but outside of Louisville and surrounding areas. Thank you. So tell me, growing up in that type of environment, what did you really want to do with your life? What was your dream?
Yeah, when I was still a bit, right, when I was still figuring out the world, I wanted to be the president, right, of the United States. I remember this poem that I used to recite, and my grandmother had all of me and my 2 cousins who really were kind of raised adjacent to me and felt like siblings most of my childhood. But it was I know I can be what I want to be, right, poem. And so my family really allowed me to believe that I could do and be whatever I wanted to be. And then I thought it was a president, right? As I started to grow and understand how the world works, I was like, well, that's a hard job. I don't want that one, right? So, not the job that I wanted. So for a long time, I thought I was going to be an attorney, right? I wanted to be in law because it was the way that I felt I could move in service, right? Move in trying to support people around me to live better lives, all right? To get justice. And so I thought it was going to be
Now,
the legal field.
Because that's kind of like a common thing in African American households.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be an attorney, or I want to go to medical school.
Yep.
So was that
It's those three fields.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's about representation, which is why we know representation is so important, and why now I'm grateful for the opportunity to show, right, another way that young Black people, young Black women can be leaders in the community and still make a change, but outside of those, right, three fields, right? What we've seen so often growing up were, right, three jobs that represented, right, that were prominent, right? You could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, right, or you could be what's the one that I'm forgetting? All right, well, we'll say those two for now. But there were,
three.
There's a few kind of positions that we were able to see ourselves in that represented success and represented power. And so, I was influenced by what I seen, right, in the media and what I seen around me.
Right. So where'd you go to college at?
I went to UK for my undergrad. So when I went to University of Kentucky at that time, I still thought I was going to law school right after. Everybody said if you wanted to be a lawyer, study English, which worked for me. I've always loved reading. Like Cat Williams, I've read 3,000 books in my life.
I never heard of that. If you want to go to
that was the advice that I was given. Just because understanding the law, so much of it is about unpacking that academic language and language as a barrier.
So I was going to act like I didn't know you went to UK. My U of L friends going to kill me because I went to
but
UK.
Wait, don't get it wrong. When I was at UK, I was still very much a U of L fan. I was raised well.
You called hell. You called hell.
Yeah, I called hell. I mean, they really, I experienced hazing, right, from all of the people in my dorm who knew that I was a U of L fan because I made the unsavory decision of wearing U of L gear. Yeah. And my roommate at the time, her boyfriend played for U of L. So when he would come and visit, it was red flags everywhere. And they did not take kind from that. There was one day at UK, they had put some, I'd say, unsavory messages on the windows or the mirrors in the bathroom to let us know that we were in blue, right? We were in UK territory, but for the most part, that was all in fun.
And I know UK is changing because I saw some of the change when I started 2004, but how was it for you being an African-American woman going to UK?
Woo, it was hard. It was hard. It was, I can honestly say, right, because of the way that I was protected and encouraged right through my life, I knew racism was real. I knew it was out there, but I do not have a memory of actually experiencing it directly until my first day at UK. Right, my first day of school, we're excited. We're coming from the bookstore, got our books, and we're crossing the street. I can't remember the name of it now. And there was a truck, a pickup truck. Right, just like in all of the movies, and in the back of it, a lot of young white guys, and they threw a cup of orange soda at us and told us to go back to Africa, right? You N-words, right? So, and I remember just being shocked. This is the world that I've heard about, right? That I knew was there. I knew we are impacted by, but I've never felt that fear until my first day of UK. And throughout my time, right, at UK, there were those different types of challenges, Confederate flags flying from Kerwin Towers, and just all of the things that come along with racism. And I just remember being very grateful for my community, right? My friends that were there who I could lean on, but there were really a few trusted staff members, right, faculty members there. One specific, Dr. Brown, who was teaching an African-American course, and I remember I just clinged to her, right, because it was really the first opportunity that I had to unpack that experience.
Right.
In an academic setting,
Right.
and to feel, right, validated, but also empowered, right, that, you know, you matter, right? You are important, and you have a part to play in changing the world, right, for the next person. So, so that was one experience with UK, but. And it was also the first time I was away from home, right, for a long period of time. And so experiencing that sense of independence, yeah, I feel like I figured out that work life balance, right, really early. I have always been a social butterfly, and so I socialized, right, and figured out, right, how to also prioritize my studies, which is the reason that I was there. So there were a lot of good things, right. As well about
So I
UK.
would tell you, so first of all, I was brave to go to PWI. I came up in the 80s, and there were a lot of racial incidents happening at PWIs. And so I turned down a lot of football scholarships because of that, and at the last minute decided to go to Tennessee State University.
Hey.
Just to dodge that. So
Yeah.
you were quite brave.
Yeah.
What did the university do, to handle those experiences? If they did
Nothing, nothing for my, nothing that I've seen, right? That one experience with these, with the cup of soda, right? I didn't report it to anybody, didn't tell anybody but my mama, right? And I unpacked it with my friend who was with me at that time. So they weren't in the position to do anything there. And in the other moments, those things happen before we learn, right? How to advocate, right? Before we learn how to, right, follow the organizational structure and demand justice or demand some sort of action. So I really just cling to the people who were around me and learned from them and leaned into their wisdom. I don't know that I seen UK make any direct action then, but then and now, we see the university making steps towards being a more inclusive space, being a more diverse campus and anti-racist. I don't know that I experienced those actions directly.
Yeah, it was interesting. Watching Game of Thrones, going back through, and I remember the wildlings killed this one kid's family. And no matter how much Jon Snow in the movie tried to get him to relieve that hate, that one scene caused traumatic experiences throughout his life, which ended up causing him death.
Yeah.
Do any of those experiences linger, or have you been able to let that grief go and put that in a box?
Yeah. I mean, it's all resonates, right, within me, but I think it's just fuel, right, and it's a reminder that racism is real, right, and that despite all of the progress that we are making in some areas, that individually we all experience, right, racism, prejudice, bias, and that it impacts our ability to press on. And I think it's those experiences really helped me the most at my time when I was at Youth Build, right? Before I was where I am now at St. John Center, I was with Youth Build, and we worked with young adults who really just needed a second chance, or just needed a chance, right? People who had been kind of pushed outside of the classroom, right, where that traditional academic experience was not. It's not what they needed, right? Where they were being victimized or criminalized, right, for things that should not have an impact on young people's education, or they were finding themselves running in, or they had been impacted by the justice system, and all that to say, right, my experiences dealing with racism and prejudices were most helpful for me when I was in the classroom, and I needed to empathize, right, with that young person when they were trying to explain to me how some trauma, right, that they had experienced or were still living through, why it was the reason, right, that they could not do the classwork that we put in front of them, or it was the reason why they weren't able to come in uniform, right, in the same way. And just realizing that those small things have big impacts on people's lives. So those experiences allowed me to humanize, right, the young people who were in front of me, because it's like, oh, I know they were real, right? And then the more that I got to know them and the more that I kind of walked with them through some really traumatic experiences in the classroom, right, with the police, and even, sometimes at home, it just better equipped me, right, to serve a vulnerable population and people who have been stepped on, right, by systems.
We are here in the community. We partner with our community health workers to run vaccination clinics throughout the city of Louisville, specifically downtown in the West End. The importance of events like these is that a lot of people have transportation issues, so we are able to come out into the community and get people the vaccinations that they need.
So it's really important to have these type of events in the community because, as we know, when the COVID and flu season comes around, our underserved communities are hit the hardest. So if we can bring any vaccines or anything that they need, glucose testing, it's important to meet people where they're at.
At Park DuValle, we care about the community. We do events like this monthly because we are the community and we love to give back to the community.
Be sure to visit our website for more of our upcoming community outreach events.
For more information, visit us online at pdchc.org.
Now you're older, you've had those experiences. What would you say to your younger self and African American people going to those type of environments? Because they still exist.
Yeah. The thing that I would have said to my younger self is something that my mom said to me when I was younger, and I wish I would have contextualized it, a little different and even more. Like I said, service was always a big part of my life. It was always something that I was inspired to do. And I think that really came from my mother and some other members of my family. But there was one point in my life where I was all about volunteering at the library. As I told you, I read 3,000 books. I was all about volunteering at the libraries. And I was asking my mom, or drive me out to Bon Air Library. At this time, we were living in the West End because I wanted to be a part of this camp. I wanted to help. I wanted to serve there at Bon Air. And my mother, she took me to the library, let me do my service. But then there was another day shortly after that, we were going to the Swannie Library, which was in my neighborhood, and she just looked at me and she said something that stuck with me forever. She said, you do not have to go far from home to make a change, right, in your community. And it has stuck with me, right, my whole life. I wish when I was younger, I spent more time understanding, right, and unpacking the beauty, right, of my own community, instead of being so motivated to, right, step outside of it. I think that's how.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and this is an interesting conversation, TV, when people think about vacations, they don't think about going to Africa.
Oh, yeah. Did you know I just got back from Africa?
No.
I didn't know if that, okay. It's like, who are you even talking to?
Think about going to Europe.
Yeah.
Because that's always on TV. And when you think about it, your mother says something that's important. They did a study years ago, and they put a white doll in front of the kid and a black doll in front of the kid, and the black kid chose the white doll because they perceived that white was better.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we look at our own community, instead of rebuilding it, we want to go move to another community that looks better.
Yeah.
Not realizing that we could change our own community.
Yes. I wish I realized that I was complicit in that, right, as a young person, but now certainly do, right? Okay. And that's, And just on the note of Africa,
tell me about you.
Yeah, so I just went to Ghana, and I'm so inspired, right, by the people of Ghana, by the culture, the way that they embrace and take care of each other. And the thought was like, they lied to us about Africa, right? We see one visual, right,
on TV.
When we think on TV, that is just not at all what I experienced. And I, again, thinking about how we kind of put other cultures, right, ahead of ours. Like I've made travel a priority for a while now in my life, and I just regret it that I didn't prioritize getting to West Africa sooner. I've been to North Africa, gratefully before, but it's a completely different experience. So I was in Ghana. I went to Accra, which is the major city, and then experienced some other cities there, and then 2 other West African cultures. But just the whole time I was there, I just kept, reflecting on things that we hear, right, about developing countries and right, and what they need, right, from us, and which is just kind of mad, right? Mad that nobody told me, right, how beautiful and civilized, right, of a place that that Ghana was, and now I know that Africa is, and it just reminds us of all the things that have been, all of our history that's been stolen from us, and in the retelling, how they leave out, right, the parts that are really empowering that we need to know and that we need to see, and it was amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So I've been to different parts of Africa, and it's different when you land and you first get off the plane, right? So what was that experience to you? Because it's a different kind of welcome than you receive in the U.S.
Yes. Well, some of it, some of the welcoming I received was because I was very clearly an American, and I was dying to know, what is the thing how do you know that I am American? But it was just a time for tourism. But I mean, I was immediately embraced, and something that I heard everywhere from the airport to throughout the city is they do not get as many Black tourists, right, as they do European tourists. And so they were eager to share with me, right, their culture. They knew, right, kind of the misinformation that I likely came with, and they wanted to help broaden my horizon, right, and correct that narrative. So it was overwhelmingly good, right? I felt like I was home. It felt like I was home.
Did you do ancestry anything before you?
I have done the 21, the 23andMe. So I reserve the right to be a little bit off in my percentages, but I think it's like 24% Nigerian, 16% Ghanaian, and then there was like 12% Benin and Togo, which is one of the things that shaped, right, that helped me form the decision that these are the places I wanted to go. So we did Ghana, and then we did Benin, and we did Togo for a day each in those smaller countries. Which Ghana was amazing, but Benin was probably the most unique travel experience I've ever had, and something that I really wish more people could see. There was a city there, I believe it was pronounced Ganvi, but the entire city is built on a lake, right? And the reason that it's on a lake is because at the time where the colonizers, right, were coming and trying to take people captive, this was a group of people who said, if we move, right, our city out into the water, they will not come for us. And it was the most amazing thing that I seen when I heard about it. I'm thinking, it's a little small, right, town. It was 40,000 people who were living on a man-made lake and had created an entire civilization, right, in the middle of water. And I mean, young people as young as like 2, 3 years old, we're watching them row boats, right? We're watching them fish, and we're watching them, with all of these life skills, right, that we don't have, right, that we don't have, but they do, right, because it's just, how they empowered and protected themselves, and it was amazing, right? It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.